All right, my friends, welcome to episode 205 of Prof and Dev Play Games. My name is Larry, the professor at Prof Plays Games on Twitter. Over there is Anthony, the dev at Summer Speak on Twitter. How are you doing this fine August weekend?
I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's a nice slow response. Pretty well.
Yeah. I've had 4 days with just my daughter and I. So
that's right, your wife's taking the daughter-son weekand. Hiking fucking 10 miles a day or whatever.
8 miles yesterday.
Crazy.
She was exhausted. My son's like, yes, this is amazing.
He was ready to keep going.
Oh, he always is.
That's awesome.
But yeah, they did an 8-mile hike up in the north Cascade-ish mountains up here. Yeah, they had their little camping weekend, and I was home with my daughter, and we did all the fun things around the house of having ice cream and donuts and, you know, all the things that a 6-year-old loves to do, which is mostly eating sweets, and then watching Harry Potter movies because she wanted to rewatch a bunch of Harry Potter movies.
Nice.
And I was like,
how many did you get through?
We watched 3. We watched one each night. Weirdly, she's like, I want to watch 6 first, which is Half-Blood Prince. She's seen all of them.
Right.
And she's like, I want to watch Half-Blood Prince. And then she's like, okay, next night I want to watch the second one. And then she's like, okay, finish the second. I want to watch the third one now. Okay. But we had to start with 6 for some reason. I was like, do you want to do 6 first? Do you want to do 2 first? She's like, no, we'll do 6 first, and we can go to 2. I'm like, sure, cool.
Huh. Okay.
I'm trying to think of, like, why specifically. Like, I don't know. I think actually, I know why she likes 2. She really likes the character of Ginny Weasley a lot. And she features heavily in 2.
Right.
But she's also in 6 as well. So
that's why she likes those.
I think so.
Yeah.
And then she wanted to watch 3 because it had she was like, oh, I want to see Lupin again and the werewolf stuff.
I'm actually currently rereading that book 3.
3 is good.
It's really good.
It's one of my favorites.
Yeah.
It's definitely my favorite movie.
I think
it's the best adaptation.
Any of them. None of the movies.
The movies are fine. I totally, if you've read all the book, just watch the movies.
I fucking own them. I bought the Blu-ray set.
The Blu-ray? Yeah, that's what we have. So I highly recommend for adaptations, they do a pretty good job. They hit the themes right. You definitely get a feeling of like they cut a bunch of stuff though. Like, because they can't like, God, the second movie is like 2 hours and 40 minutes.
Oh wow.
But most of them are like 2.5 hours, 2 hours and 45, and they cannot come close to including everything
right
that's important in the books, and so they truncate things. It's adaptations. It's just what happens.
I've seen that with Game of Thrones.
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like this does a much better job, honestly, because they had all the material.
Right.
Like, I'm sure the show Game of Thrones would have been so much better if they had all the material and the books were done. Well, and they could pick and chose how they wanted to adapt it, not being like, I don't know, we're out of material, we just got to make it up now.
Well, there's a lot of material that came up before the series started that resurfaced after the show ended, where D&D were talking about having read the books and gotten to the Red Wedding, and we're just like, we gotta make this show. And they went back and reread it up to the Red Wedding, and a lot of the material is basically either pulling quotes from them or kind of a little bit of conjecture that they were super excited to do the adaptation up to the Red Wedding and then didn't care about anything after that. And I feel like the arc of the show, we get a little bit past the Red Wedding, it's really good, and then it starts to decline pretty quickly. And partially they're out of material, partially Feast for Crows and Dance of Dragons is kind of, I think it's some of the best work of the series, but it's definitely a slower burn than the rest of the books. So, yes. I don't know. And then obviously George didn't fucking finish the other books, so.
No.
And he has an article, I don't know if you saw it this week.
I saw the article.
Fuck.
Or he's just like, I'm not talking about the show. But
well, also, no, he says feels free. He's like, I'm free now.
Yeah, but he was like, they asked him, did you watch, that was the quote. He's like, did you watch the finale? What'd you think? He's like, I'm not going to answer. I don't think I'm going to answer that right now.
Probably a good thing not to answer that.
Yeah, he's just like, so I doubt he'll talk about the show much ever again. But I do love that he feels like he's free to actually, like, I don't know, finish the goddamn story, please.
Well, he's just terrible with deadlines. So, like, the deadline of, like, get this thing out before the last show or whatever, and now it's over, so just get out whenever. He says next year, but fucking whatever.
It'll be whenever it is. It's fine.
So many other good books to read. It's fine, just like games. Speaking of games, This is a gaming podcast.
It's true. Talk about some game stuff.
Yeah, this week we're going to talk about a couple key departures from BioWare and what that means. And then Gamescom 2019 is starting. Actually, by the time this publishes, it will have already started, 6 a.m. Pacific. That's half an hour before this publishes with Nintendo. So we're going to talk about the Nintendo. We're going to talk about Xbox. We're going to talk about Stadia, and then just the normal Gamescom showcases. So that's our show. We're going to start with EA / BioWare. There were two key departures. One, a senior producer for the new Dragon Age coming out whenever, and then I guess the lead producer on Anthem also left for a different game company. So I kind of wanted to bring you in to talk about from the dev side how big of an impact those key positions, departures in those key positions mean for the team, for the product, or what this means for BioWare in general.
I mean, anytime you have people that have been like there for many, many years. So like the guy who was on DA4, Fernando Mello, had been at BioWare for 12 years. I mean, it's a huge loss of the company to lose someone that's been at a place that long. The amount of tribal knowledge that they have, just general, like 12 years of your career there, you've been steeped in that environment. You can't help but be a guide to even new people coming in on like, this is how we make games. This is our process. This is what we care about.
Right.
And to lose that is huge. It's always huge. And notoriously, game companies are really bad about passing that on to younger people anyway.
Yeah, that institutional knowledge gets kind of lost,
yeah,
right?
It does. It's the notorious, and I don't think it just is games. That's a lot of companies and a lot of just general institutions are really bad about, I guess in a lot of ways, it's training up the right type of leadership in the company and like training people to understand how a company works, why it works, why they value what they do. A lot of that usually gets pushed aside because there is more pressing things happening all the time.
Right.
So it does mean a lot that he's leaving, and actually really bums me out because at this point there's so few of those long timers left at BioWare that I'm like, who knows what the next Dragon Age is even going to be. It just makes me sad. I'm just like, at this point it's a whole new team for the most part. Like Laidlaw left after it got rebooted. This guy's now leaving. So it's just like, clearly they're not happy, and they're not these old timers aren't they're leaving either because, honestly, most likely it's just because the game that they're being told that they need to make is not what they want to make. They're not excited. If you're excited about the project, you'd probably stay, but they're not.
Do you think that's because EA is telling them to put certain mechanics in, or is it just the nature of games evolving, like in general?
I'm sure it's games evolving, but it's also, it's weird how EA works in that way. But there's definitely probably, pressures from above going like, not saying you have to put certain mechanics in, but going like, why aren't you doing this? Like that constant being like, if you're not doing this, you need to explain why, and you need to clearly explain why. And so that just wears you down over time.
Yeah.
And that's just more executive stuff of being like, okay, well, we see this trend in games going this way, these big AAAs doing things this way. What are you doing to address that? Like, and you're not just going to hear it one time. You're going to hear it numerous times every few months.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be hard to have a bunch of suits, for lack of a better word, kind of getting in on the creative process, whereas maybe you'd just like to have the creative process be what it's always been for you, and maybe you can leave and get that somewhere else.
And they probably can, honestly.
Yeah.
And I mean, Laidlaw leaving.
Well, and he's with Ubisoft now, working on the next Assassin's Creed, which sounds like awesome.
Yeah. He left, and because he got frustrated, he's like, I don't get them. I was making the Dragon Age game I wanted to make, and then you said no, you don't get to make that.
Right.
He's like, why am I still here then? Like, I don't want to waste my time making something I'm not passionate about.
Yeah, especially your career is finite, and if you're just in a place where you do have enough clout to kind of get a similar job where you have more control, why not jump? Like, don't waste your entire career.
And it's hard. I feel like these people have been there long enough. It's hard to make that kind of change, but when push comes to shove, you're like, it's probably is a thing of, I will be happier somewhere else now.
Yeah.
And I mean, we saw that at PopCap. So much of the old timers left shortly after EA purchase. Within the first 2 years, we lost most of the long-time people.
And is that mainly because they got some sort of monetary?
There was golden handcuffs for some not. Like
you guys call it golden handcuffs?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Certain people got things called. We would call them give them golden handcuffs. Like
we call it golden handshakes in our field.
Handcuffs.
What the fuck? Like. Okay, so for me, a golden...
Yeah, I mean, it was just they got a bunch of... They would get a bonus or a bunch of shares of stock if they stayed around for 2 years.
Right. I get it. And then at the end of 2 years, they're out.
Yeah, and then they would get their thing. They don't have to leave.
Right.
But, I mean, let's be honest.
But they have to stay for 2 years, though.
Yes, if they want those.
Now I get
if they want those options.
Okay,
like,
got it.
If they leave before the 2 years, they get none of it.
Okay, I see why it's called handcuffs now. Because ours is basically an incentive to leave. Bye-bye.
No.
Which then creates institutional memory is just gone with those people, and it's really rough for my field.
Yes, no, handcuffs, because they actually do want them to stay around.
Right.
Because they want the institutionalized knowledge to stay there for a few years minimum.
Right. Smart.
But most of those people just leave anyway after it's done.
Right.
And the PopCap thing was because people stopped being able to make the games they wanted to make. Same thing. Like, PopCap, when I started to when the EA bought, was a pretty mixed game company. We did stuff on PC, we did stuff on console, we did stuff on phones, tablets. It was all mixed, and you could make games for all of those. Or at least make a game and know that it's going to go to all these different platforms. EA bought us as a mobile company and a Facebook game company at the same time, like that social game company. And that's the games they wanted us to make, not PC games, not console games. So if you're at PopCap and wanting to make non-PC, non-mobile, non-social games, you're out of luck. There's no reason to be there.
Right.
It was pretty clear you're never going to get to make that game. So all those people started leaving. I mean, I stayed for 3.5 years. 3 years. 3 years. I got shit. I didn't have golden handcuffs. I just had EA stock I'd get options every year.
Right.
And so I just got through some of those, but it was the same thing. It came around to it, and I was like, I just don't get to make the games I want to make here. Even the mobile games I want to make, I cannot make. Like, they just don't want to. That's the right audience. They don't. It didn't fit what EA felt the brand of PopCap should be at that point.
Yeah.
So why? It's like, why do I stay? Like,
was that partially because they couldn't monetize it, or was it also really honestly about audience?
Audience. It was purely about audience. Like, they were not interested in mid-core mobile games.
Yeah.
They wanted They wanted Bejeweled. They wanted high, like, Candy Crush style things where it's like huge number of players. They don't monetize per player insanely high, but you do have millions of players, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
Where a lot of the games that really interested me on mobile were ones that had lower overall player bases, monetized really well though, and were very engaging to those players.
Right.
Deeper games, really. But that just was never going to fly there. So, basically, I mean, from my experience, everyone just kind of left. A lot of the old timers left. They just weren't interested in it. And so I see the same thing happening at BioWare. It's just taken a lot longer. But BioWare has been pretty successful for quite a while. I feel like that influence didn't get creeped in so hard into BioWare as quickly. Like, Mass Effect got to play out how it wanted to play out. Dragon Age got rushed on 2 a bit,
right?
But it still felt like a game they wanted to make. Like,
right, within the parameters they had.
The parameters they had, but they were still like, no, this is a BioWare game. And I kind of feel like Inquisition was the same way. They were given time to make that game, and they made a game they wanted to make. But I feel like after Andromeda and Anthem haven't done great, they're learning all those. It's negatively impact anything going forward. There's going to be a lot more scrutiny on what they're making.
Right. A lot less freedom.
Especially, and I mean, that's why Dragon Age 4 was rebooted internally. Like, there's just a lot of lessons that to be learned now, and then a lot of people left that. So I'm pretty sure Anthem was a pretty big hit to them as a company.
Well, I went into GameStop the other day, and I know this is just one barometer or whatever, but the used version of Anthem was $15. Like, it usually the used versions of, for example, Assassin's Creed Odyssey, I think was like $30. And that was a much older game than Anthem. It just tells me that crashed very badly. They're trying to discount all versions of that game to get people in. They just had the Cataclysm release, that update or whatever. That was kind of, some people were happy, some people were not. But it just seems like there's no No Man's Sky style like revamp of that game coming.
No,
or having come already.
It was very interesting to see, though, because I was looking at, what was it, the NPD stuff had come out. And so the 10 best-selling games of 2019 so far, Anthem is number 4.
God, fucking really?
Yep. So the top 10 games from 2019 so far are Mortal Kombat 11, Kingdom Hearts 3, Division 2, Anthem, Resident Evil 2 Remaster, Smash Ultimate,
which is funny.
Red Dead 2, Madden, and Days Gone.
Wow, Madden's already on there? That just came out?
Yeah, Madden Crazy. 20, and Days Gone and MLB, the show. Were the top selling in 2019.
So Anthem, like, to me, looks like a disaster, and I'm sure that EA still thinks it is, but to be the number 4 selling game so far, even though we have not hit the fall yet, that seems pretty good.
It does seem good. I bet it did make a significant chunk of money initially, but it's just its tail is not there.
Right.
Like, sales have crapped out. Like, it's not a long-term thing, and even a really good initial sale is probably not enough to recoup what they've spent on that game. The amount of time that they've been developing it.
Right.
So, but still, like, it goes to show, it's like, wow, that did shockingly well, but not well enough, and is not selling anymore because there's just so much negative press around it. Like,
even when Cataclysm came out, like, I was listening to someone about No Man's Sky recently. I think it's Game Informer podcast, and Sean Murray was talking about how every time they do an update, the number of new sales they get would make AAA developers happy. So they're making a ton of new sales every time they put out Beyond or Next or whatever else. So the tail, I mean, that's just a long tail for them.
It is insanely long.
So when Anthem puts out Cataclysm and they don't see that same thing, then it's just like, how much more effort do they put into another update, you know?
At that point, you just let it go.
Yeah.
Or you do the whole thing and say, hey, we're going to sink more money into it and do like a huge revamp like a year later, like a Final Fantasy 14 did. Right. Like, where they're like, crap, original Final Fantasy 14 was terrible. We apologize that it's terrible. However many months later, a year and a half later, we're going to do a Realm Reborn where we literally burn down the original Final Fantasy 14.
So cool. I love that story.
It's so good. But now
great.
Final Fantasy 14 is like the second most popular MMO in the world.
Yeah.
And it's good. It's a good MMO. So it can be done. You just have to be given the time, money, resources to do it.
Right.
And I just don't think, honestly, EA is not the company that will want to do that. They'll want to move on. And honestly, that team is probably pretty, I would say morale's probably not the highest either at that point, especially with the lead leaving as well.
Well, and also between Austin and Edmonton, the reporting from Schreier, I think, at Kotaku or somewhere else, was just like the morale at Austin is so low and kind of has a little bit of animosity toward Edmonton because of the way that was handled, the A-B team classification or whatever.
Yeah.
I wonder if there's any utility in EA like spinning off BioWare, selling off the IP. Like,
EA doesn't do that.
No? They just wind them down? Yep.
They want to hold on to those IPs. They have no interest in getting rid of them.
Yeah.
EA's catalog of IP is very large. Very, very large. And most of those will never see the light of day.
Yeah. That's the problem, is like you have the portfolio, but you do nothing with it.
No.
Or you do, they have the Star Wars license and they did 2 games. I guess the third one, Respawn's game coming out. Respawn's game.
Once game comes out.
Fuck, I can't
But I mean, if
anything.
you look at the classic games, they have all of the Westwood stuff. So they have all the Command and Conquer stuff.
Yeah.
That they do nothing with.
Didn't they have like a mobile game for one of those last year?
Yeah, this is the thing. It's dead when all they do is mobile games.
Yeah.
They have Dungeon Keeper games back from the late night. They did a mobile game of those, and it was terrible. What else do they have? They have Syndicate, which they did an FPS of 7 or 8 years ago. It was okay, not amazing, but they haven't done a Syndicate strategy game. They own Black and White. They own the Bullfrog library from back in the day, the Origin library of games. So they have like Wing Commander and all those. They don't do anything with any of them. So they just sit on it. They have System Shock.
Right.
Or
No, wait, do they have System Shock?
they have it in a weird... They did at one point, because that's who the publisher was for 2 originally. It's because EA was the one who owned the trademark, maybe? I don't know how it works. I know System Shock 2, there's a remaster coming out, which I'm super excited about, but it's been in a weird legal state for a long time. But EA has had some claim on it at one point.
Okay.
It's why System Shock 2 had to be a EA published game originally. All that fun stuff. So I don't know. Like, they're a company that, like, even if they did one day ramp down BioWare, they're never going to get rid of Dragon Age or Mass Effect properties. They would just
shuffle it to another studio or something like that.
Yeah, shuffle to them studio, or they'll just keep the trademarks, keep the copyrights,
and do nothing with them.
Yep.
We'll see the Mass Effect mobile game in 10 years.
There was a Mass Effect mobile game,
but not like the primary game from the
series. No, it was between when did it come out? Did it come out between 2 and 3? I think it came out between 2 and 3. It was not a free to play or anything like that. It was just a premium Mass Effect mobile game that was, I can't remember, it was kind of a tactical game. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great, but it introduced it was the first introduction of a couple characters that showed up in Mass Effect 3 as party members.
Cool. Oh, that's awesome.
So
I'll have to go find that.
It's probably not available anymore.
Oh yeah, probably not.
I bet it won't work on newer phones. I doubt it was ever updated for 64-bit.
I will check out the app as we move toward our new topic. Before we do, I want to say just some comment from my friend Bill, who was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago. He just wanted to say that he was honored to be on the show and has many thanks for the commenters who talked about his appearance on the show and thanks them for their kindness. So I want to say thanks to Bill again, and thanks to everyone for being so kind to him and leaving some positive comments on his episode.
I want to thank him for stepping in while I was away. Appreciate it.
Me too. Otherwise, I'd have been lonely by myself. It was nice not to be talking to myself. That's how this podcast started for the first 14 episodes, and I don't want to go back.
Yeah, it started with you doing it, and then I remember I would just listen to it on my commutes and text you.
Yes.
While I was listening to it.
It's like, will you please just help me? Will you join the podcast? There is a Mass Effect Andromeda Apex game, but that's not the one you're talking about.
No.
So it's probably not on here anymore.
No, I really doubt it was ever updated.
Yeah. There's a Jade Empire Special Edition.
That's cool.
Yeah.
There's a problem they're never going to do anything with again.
Yeah, probably not, right? But people love that.
Yeah, I did love it. It was
the old
a lot
BioWare
of fun.
Games. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, our next topic is Gamescom, which, as you're listening to this, is actually happening right now. But for us, it's in the future, about 12 hours. And Nintendo kicks it off. Nintendo has a Nintendo Indie World Showcase, I think is what the title of it is. And rumor is, there is another Xbox exclusive game coming to Switch, and if that is true, there's no way that it's not Ori and the Blind Forest, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, I saw the rumors on that, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So this is a 20-minute showcase. I'm wondering what indies do you think will be there?
Oh, major ones? Let's see.
I've got two. I got two in mind. I'll talk about why you're thinking. One is Crosscode. I think that Crosscode will be talked about. That's the 16-bit style, Super Nintendo style RPG that hit Steam last year. It was coded in some engine. I can't remember what, and they said there's no way it'll come to Switch. And then a couple months later, they said, oh, it's coming to Switch. But they've been radio silent since then, so I imagine they'll get some sort of update. And then I'm hoping, this is probably not going to happen, but the Hollow Knight Hornet expansion, or basically new game, I would like to hear something about it, even if it's just more video. And then something from Microsoft is the third thing, I think. And everything else, maybe Untitled Goose Game, a couple other games we haven't heard of.
There's still that one coming.
Yeah. That's what I think is going to be.
I expect some more Clay stuff. I bet potentially Oxygen not included would show up there.
Was Invisible Ink on there?
No, I don't think they put it over there, but I think I could see some more Clay stuff showing up.
Yeah, that's a good guess.
It's about time.
Are they a European studio?
No, they're Vancouver, BC.
Oh, okay. So I wonder if they're going to focus on the European studios for this. But it says World Showcase. It says World Showcase.
I think it's just going to be.
Because Moon Studios is European, so that makes sense why it might be there.
What else might show up on there? I'm thinking of all the, what isn't on Switch yet that is popular indies.
Right.
Because it's definitely, I'm thinking of their indie team would definitely go out and search for that stuff. The Clay is there. Don't Starve is on there. I believe is on Switch already. I could be wrong though.
I think it is. So Clay has a couple games on there. Mark of the Ninja's on there, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Put that on there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of out of the loop on current indie games on Steam that are tearing up the charts. Or maybe you should be looking at the indie games from last year that were on Steam.
I know, that's the thing. You want to look at the stuff that's come out a while ago.
I could see the new game by Lucas Pope, Oberdin.
Oberdin. Oh, totally. Oberdin.
I would love to see that tomorrow.
I'm looking at a popular. Dicey Dungeons might show up.
Oh there. Yeah, that just came out.
That just came out, and I'm like, I could see them trying to get that to be on Switch right off the bat.
Right.
A Terry Kavanaugh game. Yeah, I could totally see that. What else? Do they already have? They already have all of the Supergiant stuff on there. Did they? No, they haven't.
No, they don't have Pyre.
Pyre, and they wouldn't do Hades yet. Hades probably has
some sort of exclusivity.
Well, actually, it has exclusivity on Epic Store, but I believe they can still go to consoles.
Okay, so no.
But
Steam,
I don't think they'd want to do it because I think it's still Hades is still considered early access.
Right.
On Epic, they wouldn't put that on Switch until they're done with when they've done a final release. So that's not going to be happening anytime. Yeah,
those are kind of the ones I think Nintendo's going to pop up with. I don't think there's going to be a ton of huge heavy hitters.
No, they could surprise me though.
Yeah,
but it's really hard because they already have a bunch, and then I just can't remember what was out last year. They already have Slay the Spire, so that's good. Which was a great one. Yeah, Oberdin is a good choice.
Yeah, just the way that looks, I feel like that art style would play pretty well.
Yeah. No. They already got Bloodstained, which I still need to check. Has that been updated to be better?
It has not, no.
Okay.
So the word on that is that they're still going to do it, but they haven't done it yet. Okay. And they've basically taken all their resources to put it into the Switch version, but nothing has happened yet. So basically for me, Crosscode, that's all I need to hear. I'll be happy. But then also, Oberdin would be a really nice surprise.
Yeah, that's the type of game I'd want to play there. Is there any indie-ish JRPG style games?
I mean,
big popular
Crosscode.
Yeah, that must be it. That has to be it, right?
Yeah. If we don't hear about Crosscode tomorrow, I'll be surprised because that's supposed to come out this year. I have money on my Switch from earning coins for buying games or whatever, and those vouchers that I'm ready to buy it. If they happen tomorrow to say it's out today, that'd be fucking sweet, and I would just definitely download it immediately, and then probably not play it because I'm starting school tomorrow.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. Tomorrow things go crazy.
Because I must say, there's a lot of JRPGs on the Switch now. The Grandia HD thing
that just came out.
I was like, oh my god, this is truly becoming the play all the JRPGs on this machine.
Oh, you know what I think is going to come out tomorrow? Celeste, Chapter 9.
Chapter 9, yeah.
Matt Thorson was talking about on Twitter, saying basically it just needs to go through cert. So I could see that being a release
in the trailer, yeah.
And like release today kind of thing. It seemed like it was
totally.
imminent. So that's I'm pretty excited about that, obviously. What about Xbox? Anything expecting out of that Xbox? I feel like the Inside Xbox doesn't really have a lot of stuff usually, but anything that you're expecting?
Sea of Thieves stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Tread water, basically.
Yeah, I feel like Gears 5 is going to be the main thing because that's coming out next month.
Yeah, Gears 5, Sea of Thieves updates. I did see that they've 343 lost one of the big Halo leads
to another studio, or
yeah, he left.
Okay. Oh, it was the creative director, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that mean that they're done with like his work? Like they know the arc of the story or whatever?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd always be like, that's weird. Again, most people like seeing the games they work on all the way through. So,
yeah.
Again, it's something that doesn't fill me with confidence. I'll put it that way.
Right.
Like it's not like, oh, that's okay. It's like there's
it's not
probably
okay.
not okay, but they probably can recover just fine and be fine. But that's not the people you want to see leave mid-project.
Right.
You want to see those people, like if they're going to leave, you want to see them leave after they ship the game or once it's gone gold or cert or whatever. Not, we're about a year out from launching. Bye.
Right.
Yeah, because they are a year out because it's fall.
It's fall 2020.
2020.
Yep.
Yeah, so he left a year before the game's done. And a lot can happen in a year. So.
Is there a lot in that last year for the creative director to do?
Yes.
Okay, well, fuck. Fuck.
I mean, sure, the story's there, but, I mean, this is like putting all the details together.
Yeah.
Like, I bet the game is playable from start to end at this point, or it should be, in a, like, very skeleton form. Now it's the part coming in where you're, like, finalizing, like, going through and finalizing content and being like, all right, here's what let's direct all the cutscenes. Let's direct all the dialogue and writing and tweak it where it's not working and cut things up. Like, it's kind of like making a movie on a lot of us being like...
The voice actors are wrapping kind of in the last, 8 months or so of a game. Yeah. So there is a lot to do there, yeah.
Yeah, and they're probably tweaking the story as they're putting it together, being like, this doesn't work, this flow needs to change, or there's problems in pacing, we need to adjust. Like, that's stuff that you find during that build-out phase.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is a little bit worrying. You're like, ooh, that's not a person you want to see taken off. So, yeah, we'll see. It's probably fine.
Yeah, I mean, time will tell. Halo 5 was not well received critically, even though the multiplayer was great. So, I don't know. I feel like there's only up to go, but
hopefully.
We'll see. Yeah, I don't know if I'm expecting anything else from the Xbox either. And then the next one is Stadia at 10 a.m. Pacific on August 19th, which is Monday when this goes up. I don't know if there's going to be anything new to say either. Their last presentation was basically
They'll just show more games. Like, here's more games that you can play on Stadia.
And it's games that we've already heard about.
Yeah, I doubt it's going to be completely crazy new stuff.
Right.
Even if it is new stuff that they're showing there, it's not exclusive to Stadia. Because as far as I know, Stadia is not doing exclusive games. So
not even building their own? I thought they had a studio that was building
They might have... they do. But maybe they'll show something off there. I don't know. Is that going to excite people?
I mean, I guess it depends on what it is.
You have to have a pretty strong IP showing.
Right, like if it was Baldur's Gate 3 exclusive, then that would have been something, but
it's not. And that's where I'm like, okay, they shut off Baldur's Gate 3, but it's not exclusive. It's going to be everywhere. So I don't have a lot of, like, that just doesn't feel like what Google's focusing on right now. They want to show you can play all the games you want to play on this.
Right, kind of on any device. PC or laptop or whatever.
So yeah, it's another time to show games that they want, games you might want to play anywhere, and then it's a good time where they could also be reinforced, like, okay, you can do high performance gaming on here, low latency, whole thing. Like, they just need to get pushing that, I think, farther and farther. So
I'm curious if they're going to say that pre-orders are still open, or if they're going to say it was sold out.
I don't know. I feel like if it was
I
sold out, they
look.
would already show that it was said it was sold out.
Right. I guess I could look and see right now if I can order it. Which I'm sure I can.
Oh, that's definitely I don't know where it's gonna show up, but you're gonna see stuff on Destiny 2.
Oh, that would make sense to show up on Stadia, I guess. Since
Maybe like it's gonna show up in Xbox or Stadia or just in the general opening thing. But Shadowkeep is a huge thing for Destiny 2. So,
right. Well, I'm going through the Stadia webpage right now, and everything is Destiny 2.
Really?
Yeah, everything.
Okay. There we go.
Every single screenshot or video is Destiny 2. So
hey, Destiny 2 has done some stuff where I'm like, I might actually pick it up and try it because they're gonna level everyone's character.
Well, that's what I'm waiting for Stadia. Like, I pre-ordered the Founders Pack, and it comes with Destiny 2 up to Shadowkeep. So
yeah,
I'm just gonna play it there.
And
transfer my character from PS4. Yeah, see what it is. Like, I can transfer my character or just level up a character.
I still don't have high hopes that the story is going to be good, and
no.
I have a hard time seeing. I've just come to the conclusion with any kind of big, massive multiplayer type game that if it's missing that story piece that I care about, even if I have people I'm playing with, it's hard for me to stay invested.
Yeah.
They're just pillars in games that I need to be there to have attachment to, and man, I wanted Destiny to be good, like from that sci-fi story world standpoint.
Right.
And it just wasn't. Which makes me sad. I'm still sad about that.
Yeah, it held me long enough to get through the main campaign.
Yeah.
And then Brad and I went to go play on the computer to bring him through the campaign. I was like, nah, I can't do this again.
Is it? But see, you finished it.
I did.
Would you consider it a memorable story?
Can
you? Is it?
We fought the bad guy and won.
Cool.
They got my light back. Light was gone. Got it back. Went and fought the bad guy. No, dude, no.
Exactly.
Story was
I'm just
not,
like,
not the thing.
I want memorable things.
I saw some guy on Twitter the other day who has a new sci-fi novel out, and people were really excited about it. And his bona fides, he's written a few novels, but also he was one of the lead writers or whatever on Destiny 2. And I was like,
well, that's better than Destiny 1.
Well, that's actually probably true. So,
but I mean,
Taken King was pretty good though, actually. So
yeah.
Yeah. The last thing after Stadia is the Gamescom opening night live, which is basically Jeff Keighley hosting information from 2K, Activision, Bandai Namco, Bungie, Capcom, EA, Epic, Google, Deep Silver, Private Division, Sega, Square, Sony, THQ Nordic, and Ubisoft. Are we expecting anything there?
Maybe we'll get a Final Fantasy VIII release date.
Dang.
For the Switch.
Right.
Because they said it's coming out later in the fall.
Right.
So I could see them doing that. And they just tweeted a screenshot of it like this week, in very much making fun of a meme about Final Fantasy VIII. There's a meme that was always like, I'm the best looking guy at this party, or you're the best looking guy at this party, and it's Squall, and it was PS1 graphics. And then they zoom in on Squall, and it's like completely jagged, deformed face, crazy thing. But then this video shows it that same line, but it zooms in and it's showing the remaster, and it's like clear, beautiful polygon. Like you're like, oh yeah, you probably are the best looking guy at this party.
That's pretty funny.
But it was funny that they referenced the meme. But it was like, oh, the main Final Fantasy account is tweeting about this game in a meme format that they know is going to get traction. Like, it made me think that some announcement was incoming about it.
Yeah. I guess that makes sense. And also, the trailer just leaked for Plants vs. Zombie Welcome to Neighborville.
Yeah,
which is like Plants vs. Zombie Garden Warfare 3, exactly.
Which I assume is still being made by the guys up in Vancouver. I don't know for sure. EA Black Box or whatever they were called.
Right. Seems like it would be the same one, right?
I assume it's the same company. I can't tell for sure anything that I've seen, but it wouldn't surprise me. They were still the guys that were doing that. Had nothing to do with PopCap. PopCap didn't touch those games at all.
Right. Just they were the originators of the IP, I guess.
And I think we still, at least for one, there were people involved in just making sure the creative direction fit, like just brand management, but nothing beyond that. So, at 2, that was even out the window, and I'm pretty sure 3, it's completely out the window at this point. So, man, yeah, we'll see that. I don't think there'll be anything else out of EA. I mean,
no, they don't really have, as far as I, unless EA's Respawn or fucking Respawn's Star Wars.
Probably some Star Wars stuff. I could see that.
Yeah, that's coming out in November, so I can see that.
Yeah.
This is the last big stage for that before it launches, I think.
Anything out of Activision, some Call of Duty stuff probably.
Yeah, it's supposed to be some big Call of Duty stuff happening this week. Some sort of the beta just happened, I think, and yeah.
Epic will probably show some Fortnite stuff and some more exclusives for their store.
I just always feel like Gamescom doesn't really have a lot of big news coming out of it.
No, because all the big news was at E3, and then this happens a few months later, and it's a lot of the same news as E3.
Right.
Same companies are showing the same stuff for the most part. A number of the things that they announced for this year are closer to coming out by Gamescom, so they can show more.
Right.
I mean, most exciting thing from this is Gamescom's going to happen, and then sometime, probably in the next month after Gamescom, I will get to see a 45-minute Cyberpunk demo.
Because they're going to release it?
Yep.
Oh, that's right. They're going to release it after
they said
Gamescom.
After Gamescom, so
That's right.
that's my excitement. I'm like, cool.
That's all
I'll
you
get to
care
see
about.
Cyberpunk video again and see if that's something I really like, and what the demo that everyone talked about looks like.
Right. That's fucking hilarious.
Get to see
That makes
Keanu
sense.
Reeves playing John
Right.
Silverhand again, actually in action with dialogue in the game.
I guess I should go and watch the first demo, because now I'm a lot more interested in this game.
You should watch the demo. It's a pretty cool demo. Overall, like,
Yeah.
it's pretty, like, even like a year ago when they were showing it, I was like, this is ambitious, is a understatement, I would say, for that game.
I still feel like it's ambitious to hit next year.
I
guess
think
we'll
it is
still
too.
see.
I'm just like, this is an ambitious game.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Like, do it. Go big. It's great. But I don't know if there's still a part of me that wonders if they'll land it.
Right.
'Cause holy crap.
It's a lot to land. It's a big plane.
It is a big plane. Hey, they landed The Witcher 3 though. So
Yeah, but
and that's a
I don't know
big
if
game.
it is a big game, and I wasn't tuned into it until just like a month before it came out.
Honestly,
but
most people weren't. I think it's the same scale of project though. So I think there's just a lot of pressure on them now.
yeah, that's
is the
what I'm
change.
getting at. Yeah, the anticipation and the hype seems more for Cyberpunk than Witcher 3. So we'll see. Why don't we move on to what we've been playing this week? What have you been hitting the sticks?
So Fire Emblem, still.
Oh yeah,
I
nice.
restarted.
You did?
I
the
beat
New
it,
Game Plus.
and then I did New Game Plus as Golden Deer this
Right.
time. I am chapter 7 in.
Damn. Okay.
I haven't done any of the time skips. I still have a few more months before the time skip. But I've started doing paralogs, and I'm playing it on hard, which is actually a challenge, which is good. I should have been playing on hard to begin with.
Can you change your difficulty to go up as
I
you're
don't
playing?
know. I didn't check.
I need to look, 'cause if not, I might restart. Two reasons I want to restart. One, I think I've read so much about people saying if you played before, put it on hard, because easy's too easy, or not, normal is too easy.
Yeah.
But also, I feel like if I went back and actually did choose a female protagonist, I would be able to have some separation.
Just do a
from
female
my job.
protagonist and choose Black Eagle. They're the best. Just choose them.
I want to know the blue. I want to know the blue storyline.
It's just
I want
gonna
to
be
start with like
disappointing. I'm just gonna
I want to
say
start with the bottom story, what I consider to be the bottom, and then move up. That's a stupid way to do it. Maybe I should just do the one I want. I don't know. We'll see.
I have a hard time like seeing how the Black Eagle isn't weirdly the best story in the game
Yeah.
because of its additional choice, pretty heavy
Right.
choice midway through. Like,
Right.
I'm like, this just feels like the intended main story,
Well,
and
I
the
feel like-
other two are supplement, like still big stories,
Right.
but supplements to that Black Eagle story of being
I
like
feel like
showing you
that's-
different perspectives of that.
I feel like that's correct because a lot of the marketing material really focused on, is her name Edelgard? The head
Edelgard.
of Black Eagles? Yeah, her. So it seems like that they were the main. So that's interesting that you played through the story and feel that way.
I mean, I'm partially through the golden deer, and it while it's very similar so far, there's some variations. I'm learning deeper lore and specific things, but I also know I'm not going to hit this major choice midway through the game. Um, I just feel like their story is just going to play out.
Right.
So it's just it's not odd. It's just like, oh, okay. I'm getting a different perspective, and I'll get a different perspective from what the Black Eagle did. But still, I don't know. I do think, yeah, I would recommend starting again with you can have some separation. Pick whatever house you want. They're all good stories, and they're great characters. I personally like the Black Eagle characters, of most of the Black Eagle characters, more than I've liked the other students. There's pick and choose between the blue and the yellows, but man, there's a lot of really good characters in Black Eagle. And just
I'm trying to recruit. I'm trying to fucking recruit them for my blue house.
They're so good.
Dorothea, that's what I want.
Great. Bernadetta is great. Honestly, Ferdinand, he's a really cool, dude. A lot better than Sylvan. God, misogynistic asshole. But that's
Gotta
true.
have him in every game.
Well, you can just play a female character, main protagonist, and he'll try to join your house immediately.
Right.
There's a couple people in the Golden Deers that I just want to punch. I wish I could kick people out of my house. I was like, I just don't want you here. Just go away.
Just make them die on the battlefield.
Oh, that's true. I can. I could just do that, and they could be gone. That'd be great.
My God.
Maybe that'll work. Goodbye, Lawrence. I hate you.
Oh, but he has such a great name.
He's so bad. He's such an asshole. And I'm through so many support conversations, and I still think he's an asshole. I'm like, a lot of them start their support conversations. You're like, okay, you're kind of a jerk at the beginning, but you get deeper and you start seeing more of them. And you're like, oh, okay, here's the likable side. Here's like why you're putting on that dickish face. No, so far I've done so many scenes. I'm just like, no, you're still an asshole. Like, right. Nobles need to act this way and don't talk to commoners. Fuck off. I'm gonna kill you. So yeah, no, I've been playing that, and I actually do care a lot about that. Playing on hard, though, you can't grind out battles. Like, you don't get the unlimited battles. There's no unlimited battle. On hard, you can only make the choice of you have to play timed battles. So the game really does split into more of a third battles, a third of that conversation stuff, and like a third of the teaching.
Oh, okay. I think maybe I'll stick on normal then, because I'm missing the battles, so I'd like to have a few more than the other two.
Yeah, I definitely have more now because the new game plus you can spend your renown to do different things, and I used my renown to just up my professor rating as high as it was before on my original playthrough.
Right.
So I can do 3 battles now per battle when I choose battle in the menu. So I get my fill of battles pretty easily. 2 to 3 is about what I would want to be doing between like explorings and talking with people. It works out. So I love the game so much. It's such a good, fantastic game. And like I said, hard actually brings a challenge. I have to think about how I'm moving my units a lot more, and I need to care about like making sure that when I have to split my teams around different lanes on a map, that they have kind of a good compositions going each way.
Right, don't send 3 healers up one side.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, that's been a lot of fun. Like one of the first things I've done in this playthrough is who is it? In blue, Mercedes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I totally recruited her. I needed another healer, and she's a really good healer.
Yeah.
But I'm like, yep, get over here, get into my house. I need that healer.
I've enjoyed that character.
So that's worked out well, and so most of my game time has been playing that, and then I put in probably a couple hours today on No Man's Sky Beyond.
Nice.
Just starting it again and going. It's crazy how much they've added to that game.
Fuck
just
yeah,
insane. Dude. Like every time they do it, I'm like, I still find it a bit too shallow overall.
Okay.
I wish there was. It just feels like it's missing a little bit of depth. Like there's a ton of stuff to do, but it's all pretty surface level.
And it's the same on every planet kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. I'm like, there's definitely I want them to do another year, make another big update, and it's an update that just adds more depth to the game.
Well, they said they do have another big update coming, so
I'm sure they do. I feel like at this point they're not going to stop anytime soon. Like, if sales keep spiking, which they do,
they're back on Steam #1 right now.
Exactly. There's no reason for them to stop right now.
Right.
Because they can make the game they want to make. They can actually keep adding this stuff and just make it deeper and deeper and more things to do. And
every time that they make an update, they just make their core audience happier.
Yeah. And they found their cadence for updates. It's like, don't release small little updates.
Mm-hmm.
Just release these huge updates. People love it.
Well, it's interesting that interview that I heard, Sean Murray was talking about how, based on back-end data or whatever, they know that 1 million people who own No Man's Sky also have a VR unit. So
oh, wow. From Steam. They'd know that from Steam and from Sony.
And from Sony, right. So it's not inconsequential that this VR update is there. Like that's I would imagine like a third, more than half of their audience. A third to half their audience. I don't know how many games they sold, like how many copies, like 2 million, 3 million, something like that. So a lot of people are going to be checking out VR, and I did. This is basically the game that I played too. This in the last week, I played one other game as well. I probably put 4 hours into No Man's Sky, and I started a fresh save because I had read before I started that said that if you haven't played in a while, do a new save because there is a lot more stuff added to the tutorial.
Correct. So, I started a new one as well, and I was pretty surprised. There's a lot of guidance, and there's a lot more going on.
Well, and it's just so good so far how they do the tutorial. Like everything just leads to the next thing. Everything to me, it feels organic, and it doesn't feel like a chore to like, okay, this is how you learn how to put a refiner up and refine your material into this or whatever. Like I actually need to do it if it's fun to do it. And VR, I did it for the first night in VR, and then the next 2 nights I did it without VR, which might tell you how the VR thing went. It was interesting, but it was just so blurry. It was really, really blurry, to the point where it was a little distracting for me. It was fun to be immersed, and it actually felt a little better to be using. I still use the DualShock 4, but to be aiming my miner or whatever the tool, the multi-tool, with the controller with the light felt more natural than using the joystick basically. But it was just it was a little too blurry. And then there was one moment where I just got the mining tool and I was starting to create terrain, and I was trying to build a cave, and I turned around and I saw like the little red dot with the paw, which showed me that the predator was basically nearby, and I turned around, there's a fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex basically in my face, and I just jumped out of my skin. So it was pretty funny. But then the next 2 nights I played on just a flat screen because I wanted to see the crisp visuals, and it looks great.
Yeah.
And it was just a lot of fun fucking going around, and I think I just got to the space station right now. I'm at the space station right now, so when I finish tonight on the podcast, I'm going to go do a little bit more. But it's fun. I don't know. I don't know what to say. It's fucking great.
I think it generally is fun. I want a little bit more variation when it comes to NPCs more than anything. I think that's the depth I want now. Like you have all the building depth there now, and the vehicles, and tons to do there. If they just made, I'd say 2 things, made deeper NPC interactions and deeper like enemies, like sentinels and different types of like deeper sentinel stuff that like, okay. And then if they really improve the ship combat. Ship combat's really,
the ship combat sucks.
It's just bland. Like which I'm like, it is just a space sim kind of shooter, but it just doesn't have any wow factor to it. Just kind of as a thing you just do. If they could just amp that up and add some like deep NPC interactions, like I think I'd be all on board. I think those are the 2 places that I feel just the game loses me a bit.
Well, I feel like I feel you on the NPC thing too, and I don't remember. For my other save, I had like 16 hours or whatever, but whenever you interact with an NPC, aren't most or all of them, you can't really understand them until you start picking up...
You can't understand them, and they're almost all the same.
Oh, okay.
Like
Once
it's
you
a
finally
lot
do
of
understand
like
them,
it's like
they're
once
all
you
the
do
same.
understand, it's like yeah, they might have some variation, but it's always the same result of choice in the end. You'll start seeing like, oh, this is an interaction where I do this. This is an interaction where I do this, and there's not a lot of variation there. So you'll learn the like 5 or 6 interactions you can ever have with an NPC,
Oh,
and
that
just be
sucks.
like, okay, that's what this is going to be. It's not deep at all. So that would be my hope. If they have another big update, they'll do stuff like that.
Right.
Although this has multiplayer in it too, so that's cool.
Right, and there's a hub world too.
Yeah.
On some sort of weird spaceship, which I haven't gotten to yet.
I'm like, how do I get there? I don't even know.
Yeah, I don't either. I just know that it exists, and people were happy that they could see each other, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, I look forward to that. But you said you played one other game.
Well, I give you one guess what it is, and it's not Fire Emblem.
What the hell else are you playing?
Guess. What have I been playing since fucking... No. Well, actually, fuck yes. Actually, I
No,
haven't
you were
played Smash
online.
yet.
You played Smash some.
I was. You're right. I played. Shit. Okay, I played 2 games. I played Smash. I was doing the. I have a fucking terrible idea that my friend Casey was on the podcast the other day. I texted him and said, "How about we go to Evo 2020 and enter the Smash tournament?" So
That is a
started
terrible idea.
It's
or
a
the
fucking
best idea.
it could be the best if you're looking for some funny stories, which is probably all I'll be looking for. But so I just started entering online tournaments. They have the online tournament mode they added, and I have never gotten past the first match. So I played for like an hour straight and finally got past the first match and got in the top 8. I was feeling pretty fucking good about myself. And as soon as I got finished top 8, took a screenshot and turned it off.
Nice.
Zero Suit Samus, man. That's my main. So I had a lot of fun with that. And then Assassin's Creed Odyssey. I started the Atlantis quest line, went to that island, the Poseidon Island or whatever it is, where you get the trident. And then it was the Layla flash forward, and then you come back to Cassandra, and she's listening to the modern day people talking.
Yep.
And it was so jarring to be in ancient Greece and then hearing the modern storyline coming through. Basically coming through the staff of for whatever it's called. Does that continue? Yeah, that's it. Does it continue?
No, not really.
Oh, dang. I thought it was kind of cool.
It, as far as I remember, no. It doesn't completely do it. There's still points where Cassandra is confused about what the hell is actually going on. Like, why the hell is the staff talking? Like, what are people talking about? Like, why are people, like, who is the first one that's talking to you in there?
Oh yeah, whatever her name was.
She's talking to you, and she's like talking about like future, and like never being specifically clear to Cassandra about what's going on. Just that, hey, you got to face these challenges to power the staff up, basically.
Right.
Yeah, super. It full on goes into the Assassin's Creed sci-fi weirdness, like full on in that DLCs.
Well, I like that because the same thing with Origins, where like the first DLC was kind of in the world of Origins, and this next one was just like this fucking bonkers fantasy, fighting the pharaohs, fighting demons, whatever. That's cool to kind of like play in that sandbox once you've kind of done the serious stuff.
Yes.
So I plan to get through that by the end of the year. I'm not sure exactly when, with school starting and just madness beginning.
School starting.
Yeah. Summer was great, guys. I read a ton of books. Actually, I didn't play that many games. Played a few games, but read a ton of books, and it was a great summer.
But it's now over.
Yeah, it's now over. Which usually when I'm just working so much during the day, I'm just so tired at night, all I can do is play a game, so I'll probably up my gameplay now.
That's true. That is true.
My 10 to 11 p.m. time slot. So, speaking of that, it's almost that time, so I guess I should probably sign off the podcast. Anything else you have to say tonight, Anthony?
No, I don't. I'm super excited to see what I wake up to from Gamescom.
Me too, especially Nintendo. Hopefully there's some good news by the time you hear this podcast. Oberdin and Crosscode, please.
Yeah.
All right, friends, that was episode 205, Prof and Dev Play Games. If you like our podcast, please give us a rating on iTunes or your podcast service of choice. And then we also have a Patreon up. If you like our show, at the $1 level, we'll read something that you say to us on the show and read your name. And at the $5 level, you can ask us a question. We will answer it. Next week, we will have a couple of Patreon supporters' questions to answer.
Oh, no.
I'm looking forward to that. Give you a preview of one. One's about soundtracks for games.
Cool.
So, nothing controversial there.
No, not at
Well,
all.
I guess we'll see. Until next week, folks, thanks for listening, and we'll see you then.
All right. Later, everyone.